Okay, in this episode, we're going to be talking about nested if statements. I'm just going to describe what those are and might even do a little example. So I'm going to clear everything that I've written so far, and I'm going to have a blank main function. And nested if statements, I'm just going to go right with an if statement. So, well, let me declare some variables. So int num1, num2, num3. So it's giving me a warning because they're not initialized, but that's all right. So now I'm going to make just a regular if statement, if, and then my condition. How about num1 greater than num2, and then the body. So if this is true, if num1 is in fact greater than num2, then we might as well give them values. Assign a value to num1. Okay. Cin num1. And we're going to do the same, well, we're going to do the same thing for num2 and num3. We want to put an end L here. We want an end line here. Whoops, there we go. Okay. So now we put in values for num1, num2, num3, and if num1 is greater than num2, then whatever I put in this block of code will execute. So I'm going to put another if statement. If num1 is greater than num3, then we do another block of code, and I'm just going to see out end L, end L. Num1 is greater than num2 and num3. Now, we could have done this using by evaluating two expressions and using the double ampersands and the AND operator, but I wanted to demonstrate the use of nested if statements. So this is how nested if statements work. So if this is true, it evaluates this, and if this is true, then it does everything in here. And once it finishes doing everything in here, then we exit this if else tree, go in and we exit this if else tree, if you will. But what if num1 is not great? Well, I could just put else. If it's not greater than num3, then C out and L num1 is greater than num2, but not greater than num3. Okay, that's pretty straightforward, I think. And then, oops, there. And we could, continue this down the line. Well, it would be here. Else if num1 is less than num2, and then we put in the two conditions for, everything else. Or you could just say else, if you'd like. And you could even do if num1 is equal to num2, and you could say, then you could add make another nested if statement, say if num1 is equal to num3, well then you would see out num1 is equal to both num2 and num3, whatever. So why don't we just test this really quick. Oh, and another cool feature about Xcode is that right here on the side, it'll darken the blocks of code. The darker ones are the blocks of code that are farther in, or that are in other blocks of code. So here we have darker lines because these two blocks of code are really far in the hierarchy, And then you have this outside one, which contains both of those. And then you have this big one, which is the body of the main function. And then you have this comment thing up here and everything else. So that's really cool about Xcode. That's what I like that feature about it. But let's run the program and test it. Build succeed. Assign a value for num1, 1, 2, 3. Original line now. Wait a minute. So I didn't define anything, so that was terrible. For if number 1 was greater or less than all of those. So number 1, we'll just say is 9, 2, and 3. So number 1 is greater than number 2 and number 3. That's exactly what we coded. So that's nested if statements. You could put more if statements in here and just make it go deeper and deeper and deeper. And we'll play around with that eventually in future episodes.